Traditional interpretations frame the Passover lamb as a mechanism for the Israelites to escape physical bondage in Egypt. While these traditional views explain why the Israelites were saved, the text records a specific transfer of authority that remains distinct from the physical act of leaving Egypt. The sacrifice of the lamb operated as a material affirmation of God's absolute ownership over all life. This functions as divine eminent domain, a legal and material claim that supersedes all human authority and local power structures. To understand the mechanics of biblical atonement, we have to trace this specific principle from its visceral origins in the ancient Near East, through the codified laws of Leviticus, to its ultimate resolution in the New Testament. The rescue of the Israelites was the byproduct of this total transfer of ownership. We must look at the specific target of the 10th plague, the Egyptian firstborn. This requires setting aside modern understandings of family dynamics. In the sociological reality of the ancient Near East, lineage and inheritance dictated the survival of a culture. As this diagram illustrates, the firstborn represented the absolute apex of societal vitality, embodying the continuity, inheritance, and future of the civilization. Historical context indicates striking the firstborn shattered the perceived strength of the culture. Within the theology of the ancient Near East, deities were understood to possess ultimate dominion over life and death. Viewed through this historical lens, the 10th plague was a surgical dismantling of Egypt's future. By targeting the firstborn, God deliberately annexed the apex of Egyptian vitality to establish his own unrivaled sovereignty over human existence. Amidst this strike, the Israelites received a physical command: slaughter a firstborn lamb or goat. They were required to apply the shed blood directly onto the physical doorposts of their homes. The blood created a tangible boundary. It was a declaration of divine authority intersecting exactly with physical human space. This introduces the concept of substitution. The lamb's life served as a direct placeholder for the Israelite firstborn, satisfying the divine claim of ownership. Philosopher Martin Buber examined the mechanics of this initial encounter between God and Israel. Buber argued that this event marked the exact birth of a relational covenantal partnership. We can define this specific arrangement as a primordial covenant. It is built on a singular, dramatic act of divine grace, met with immediate, uncodified human action. The Israelites' physical obedience in applying the blood was the exact legal moment they accepted God's total claim over their existence. Moving forward to the book of Leviticus, the text presents a shift in theological tone and structure. This matrix contrasts the singular, primal Exodus sacrifice opposite the highly regulated architecture of the Levitical tabernacle. This complex system's primary function was maintaining the covenant through specific mechanisms: the hatat, or sin offering, and the asham, the guilt offering. These offerings addressed individual transgressions. They were designed to repair microfractures in the relationship, rather than establish the overarching baseline of the covenant. The system of maintenance in Leviticus functions because the claim of ownership was already established. Without the initial blood claim of the Exodus, the later requirement to offer a life for a transgression would be a demand without a legal foundation. Leviticus provides the intricate architecture for living with a holy God. The material affirmation of the Exodus provides the bedrock claim that makes that relationship possible. Tracing the mechanics of the Torah forward reveals a broader theological vector: substitutionary atonement. The visceral reality of the lamb in Exodus planted the earliest seeds for this specific doctrine. The logic of substitution, an innocent life exchanged for the firstborn, provides the structural foundation for Isaiah 53. The prophet describes a suffering servant who bears the iniquity of many, scaling the individual sacrifice of the Exodus lamb into a representative figure for the entire nation. This historical foreshadowing arcs directly into the New Testament, where the vector finds explicit fulfillment. Key figures like John the Baptist and the Apostle Paul explicitly map the identity of Jesus Christ onto the Passover lamb. This theological framing positions the crucifixion itself as the supreme definitive demonstration of God's absolute inherent right to all life. Christ's sacrifice on the cross is the ultimate material affirmation. It fulfills the exact legal and substitutionary logic set in motion on the night of the Exodus. Observe the inversion between the two events. In Egypt, divine ownership was exercised through a forceful taking of life. On the cross, it is exercised through selfless, divine self-giving. The scope of the covenant expands. The Exodus lamb provided localized deliverance for one nation from physical death. The ultimate lamb offers eternal deliverance from spiritual bondage. These distinct eras form a single cohesive architecture. The primordial covenant at the doorpost anchors the maintenance of the tabernacle, which points directly to the ultimate substitution on the cross. The blood on the cross inaugurates a new covenant, expanding God's claim of ownership and redemptive provision beyond Israel to all nations and peoples. The enduring echo of the blood on the Egyptian doorposts proves that true divine sovereignty and gracious redemption are forever bound together by the baseline principle of absolute material ownership.